I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm excited about this class today. I'm usually always excited about the class. But to start out, let's just review a few bones. So you have your pelvis here, and it makes up this triangle shape where your pubic bone is on the very bottom and your ASIS bones are on the top. Makes this triangle. And just keep in mind, when it comes to alignment, you often want to pay more attention to where your bones are as opposed to your soft tissues, because soft tissues are going to continuously change over time depending on how you use your muscles. And so get to know where your bones are. And those are a couple that I'll reference as we go throughout this class. But let's come onto our backs. And you can have something under your head, but as we lift our hips up, if it's not comfortable, you can take something out. We're going to use a block, or whatever you use as a block, and you're going to lift your hips up and place your hips on the block. But then there's many ways for your pelvis to be on the block, and one is kind of sitting, but when you're sitting on the block, this crease across the front of your hips is not completely open. So you want to tuck your pelvis under, your pubic bone comes towards you, your waist drops down to the floor so that hip crease between your thighs and your pelvis is completely open. And you want to set yourself up in a way that you can position yourself like this and you don't have to hold it. So you're not like trying to, yourself into the position. You want to get where it's comfortable. Ankles scoot back so they're more under your knees, not too close in and not too far out. So ankles right under your knees, and you're just letting that rotation happen and tuning into your breath, becoming very present with your breath here. And today we're gonna activate and use a lot of our hip muscles, buttocks muscles. And one thing that prevents those muscles from their full potential is if we have excessive tension along the front of the hips. And as you can imagine, we spend a lot of time with this area of the body in a more closed position, for lack of a better term. Think of all the sitting we do, whether sitting in chairs or sitting in the floor or sitting on the floor. A lot of exercise even keeps this area in a more closed off position, which doesn't extend it all the way. Think running, bicycling. And I've recently been paying attention to how when I sleep on like a normal mattress, that my hips even kind of sink down, my buttock sinks down into it, and then still this area doesn't have its full openness. So we spend a lot of time with this area not completely open. One of the best ways, exercises over time that helps keep this area very mobile is walking. So keep that in mind. I encourage you to walk, even if it's just parking farther away at the store, so you can get in some more steps, some more hip extension. Let's add a little movement in while we're here. So just check the tilt of the pelvis, arms by your sides, thumbs point up, and we'll reach our arms up and overhead and back down. At your own pace, a few more times. If you start noticing your pelvis tilting or the block sliding, adjust that at any time. All right, next time your arms are overhead, any amount, slide the arms a little bit over to the right. And holding there, breathing. Relaxing your waist to the floor and slide your arms a little bit over to the left. And come back to center and bring your arms down. Now, you are perfectly good to stay here. This is getting the job done, but you could also flip the block a height higher if you'd like to, and then find that same tilt with your pubic bone coming towards you, your waist dropping down, ankle right under the knee, knees hip distance apart. And then take a few breaths here. And as we release this area and help it relax and improve the range of motion, this area will also get stronger as well. All right, take your right arm and reach it across your body, and you can gently hold onto your upper arm and pull it across. Try to keep that shoulder blade on the floor. And then switch. Your opposite arm pulls across, keeping the shoulder blade on the floor. Check on the tilt of the pelvis. Check if there's any excessive clenching around your thigh muscles, buttocks muscles. All right, bring your right arm up and bend your elbow, kind of like you're going for a tricep stretch, and wrap that hand behind your head. So, like you're putting yourself into a tricep stretch by just resting your head on your arm. My hand is resting over by my opposite shoulder blade, by my left shoulder blade. All right, let's switch. Really relax your head. Left arm up, hand bends like you're reaching it to your shoulder, and then reach it behind you a little bit, and your head can rest on any part of your arm or your hand. Keep relaxing, clenching around your thighs without losing that waist dropping down. All right, and then release that arm. Press into your feet to lift your hips up. You can just check, are my feet a little forward of my knees? Like right now my feet are. So when I let my hips come down, I'm just gonna scoot my feet back a little bit. You're not trying to go all the way back, because then when you come up, your knees will go past your ankle. So for today, we're trying to do as much of joints stacked as possible. And lift your hips up. When you lift up, notice if you lift from the ribs, relax your ribs down even though your spine is lifting up, and lift more from your hips and slowly lower down. And if it helps if you tend to thrust your ribs, if you put your hands on your ribs so that you're really just creating that lift from your hips, pressing equally through the soles of your feet. And tuning into your breathing here, letting it flow. Relaxing any excessive clenching that you might be doing on both sides or one side. And it really, really does make a difference. Like if your feet are a little bit here or way in here. So keep working. And of course, sometimes you could work with your feet at all different angles. But for today, try to stack your knees right over your ankles. And lift from the hips. And next time you lift, hold, ribs, front ribs, relax down. Lift from the hips, press through the feet. Breathing. Can your pubic bone lift a little bit higher? All right, and lower your hips down. And if you'd like something under your head, now's a good time to place something back under your head. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Keep this shape so you're not sliding your thigh over. You're keeping this number 4 shape, and then rolling the sole of your right foot over to a block. You can put your foot on a block, or you can just rest your foot on the floor. I'm going to do a block today. And then notice how my knee is dropping in towards me. Gently open your knee away from you. And let's switch sides. You can push down through your left elbow to unwind. Bring your ankles back under your knees, knees hip distance apart. Cross your left ankle over. Keep this shape as you roll over to your right. I just have my mic in the way. And then you can come right to the floor, or different heights of a block are nice sometimes. And then notice how that thigh might tip in towards you and open it away from you. Just becoming a little bit more present with your breath and with your body. All right, press down through your right elbow to unwind. Grab your strap and lasso it around the ball of your right foot, right below your toes. Extend your left leg long. Notice if your left leg is lifting up off the floor, and tilt your pelvis until your left leg comes down or really close. It's okay if your right leg has to move away from you. Really pull down on the ball of your foot, so actively pull down, and then try to take any bend out of that knee by extending through the back of the leg to your heel. And keep working on those things, the tilt of the pelvis, the flexion of the ankle as you pull down on the strap, and can you lengthen through your leg a little bit more? All right, keeping your right hip on the floor, take your right foot across your body any amount without that hip rolling up. And then continue to tilt your pelvis so the back of your left thigh comes down. Pull back on the ball of the foot and see if you can lengthen that leg a little bit more. And pull back on the ball of the foot as you bring that leg back up, and let's switch sides. Extending your right leg long as your left leg goes up into the air. Check where that thigh is relative to the floor and tilt your tailbone and the back of that thigh down. Pull back on the ball of the foot and then see if you can lengthen through the back of that hip to the ankle a little bit more. All right, let's take that leg without the left hip coming up across the body any amount. Keep tilting your tailbone down. Keep pulling back gently on the ball of the foot as you lengthen long through the inner and outer thigh. Pull back on the ball of the foot to bring that leg up and release the strap and bend both knees again. And this time we'll do the left foot first. Left ankle crosses over the right knee and then roll over to your right. And again, you can do the block at any height, or you can let your foot come over to the floor, gently push that thigh away from you. You can use your hand or just your muscle. Just be aware that the bottom leg, like how far out or how far it is, does affect how you feel the hips. So you can also play with that. Push down through your right elbow to unwind. Cross your left ankle over your right knee. And from there, roll over until your foot comes to the block or to the floor. Open that right thigh away from you. You can gently push your hand into your thigh. You can play with the position of your bottom leg. And being with your breath. And then push down through your left elbow to unwind, uncross your right ankle. Okay, so we're going to roll all the way onto the right side of your body, right onto your right hip. And you're going to use your block, and so you can use your arm as a pillow if you don't have another pillow for your head. You're going to use your block probably at the lowest or the second highest height, depending on how wide your hips are. And you're going to put your knee over on the block. So the goal of this is to keep your leg in line with your hips rather than your knee coming down to the floor. And you can stay right here and do this with a bent knee, or you can try to, approximate, scoot the block over and extend your leg up onto the hip, where you can it doesn't have to rest under your foot, but it can rest under your ankle, your lower leg, but you're mostly trying to keep your hips stacked. So we're not trying to roll our back hip back. We're trying to keep our hips stacked as we extend our bottom leg and reach long through our top leg, and then maybe roll your upper body back a little bit towards the ceiling, but without your hip going with it. Your hip is staying stacked, and reach through the bottom leg, reach long through your top leg. All right, unwind your chest, and any way you can, slide that block in towards you, and then we'll switch sides. So unwind, and you'll roll all the way over onto your left hip, roll all the way over. Don't try to keep your rib cage down, and then position that block in front of you, probably on the lowest height or the second highest height, depending on the width of your hips. Rest your knee on it and extend your bottom leg long, and you can stay right here, or you can just kind of scoot that block away from you a little bit and rest your leg on the block. Reach long through your bottom leg, reach long through your top leg, keeping your hips stacked, and then maybe rolling your upper body back a little bit. And my upper hip needed to move back a little bit here. Breathing here, lengthening through the bottom leg, lengthening through the top leg. Imagine you have something by each of your feet and you're gently pressing into it. All right, scoot that block in, or you might even be able to reach it with your hand as you bend your top knee and unwind your spine, bringing your hips back to center. And then from here, we'll bring our knees up, open our inner thighs a little bit, bring the soles of our feet towards the ceiling. You can use your hands to kind of drop your knees down towards the sides of your body. Keep stretching your feet up. Notice if they turn a lot to the sides, try to rotate your lower leg bones so your toes point a little bit more back. You can just keep holding onto your thighs. You can reach up for your shins. You can reach up for your feet. But the higher you reach up, the chances are the more the buttocks lifts up into the air. So I want you to both work on keeping this shape of your legs, but tilting your tailbone to the floor. You're trying to push your buttocks away from you as you bring your legs in closer towards you. So essentially a happy baby pose, but we're being a little bit more specific with our alignment. And if you'd like to rock a little bit side to side here, feel free to do that. All right, and then let your feet come down, and then we're gonna roll all the way onto our right side again. So come on over, you can use your bottom arm for a pillow, up on your elbow or down on your hands. We're gonna do some simple leg lifts, but we're not going to lift very high, and for the reason is we're gonna try to keep our hips still. So you can lift your leg and your hip comes up towards your waist. And we're going to try to lift our leg, but keep our hip traveling away from us. So as you lift, your hip doesn't tilt up towards your waist. So extend long as you lift, and if you feel your hip starting to tilt towards your waist, you went too far. Reach out. You can use your hand here to kind of keep your hip moving towards your foot. All right, let's switch sides. So go ahead and roll on over to the other side. And then the piece of the puzzle that we're really paying attention to here is keeping our hips stacked, but as you lift up, it's common that the hip kind of collapses into the waist, and you're trying to keep your waist nice and long, and it's like your hip is moving away from you as you lift and lower. So you can start low and then just see, can I lift higher, or does that cause that collapse? One more on this side. All right, and then from there, use your hand to help press yourself up and come all the way around onto your stomach. From your belly, you're going to start with your legs hip distance apart, and then you can just rest your head on your hands. So this is where that front of the pelvis comes into play. You want to really keep your pubic bone and the front of your pelvis down on the floor. And the tendency as we lift a leg is that the hip wants to roll up or the pubic bone wants to come up. So keep that pelvis down. For just a moment, tuck your right toes under, stretch that leg as straight as an arrow, keeping the pubic bone down, and then tuck your left toes under and stretch that leg back. Okay, we're going to start with the right leg, pelvis grounded. Lift your right leg, but if your knee bends at all, you want to not go any higher. So you want to try to straighten your leg as straight as you can, and you can just play with how high can I lift my leg without the knee bending or the pubic bone coming up at all. And then lower and switch sides. Lift, pubic bone down, leg as straight as an arrow, and lower. And those things will prevent you from overusing your lower back muscles, keeping the leg really straight and keeping the pubic bone connected to the floor. Right leg and left leg. Okay, so just notice as you do, now let's do both legs at the same time. Pubic bone down, lift, but straighten, 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 straighten those legs. Notice if your legs want to open up, bring them back to hip distance, and if they really want to open up, you can even bring them in a little closer. Pubic bone down, reach nice and straight, lift, 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 pubic bone down. So I can feel as I went up, my pubic bone started to come up a tiny bit, and I started to feel some like dumping into my lower back area. So you've got to really tilt the very bottom of that pubic bone down, straighten your legs as you lift, and lower. It's very easy to go beyond the muscles we want to work. So start with less. Start with less height. And really straighten those legs. And if you want it to, you can add the arms in too. But really focus on pubic bone down and legs super straight. And last one, hold. All right, lower down, hands come by your side, press yourself up onto your knees, knees under your hips, forearms come down. We'll do multiple rotations, reach your right arm through, but palm face down. Reach it through, you can rest your head on your other arm. Tops of the feet or toes tucked under, but feet gently active. Rotate your right arm bone, so pinky finger down, thumb up in the air. Rotate your right arm bone, so palm face up. Try to touch all your fingernails to the floor. And rotate your right arm bone, so thumb down, pinky finger up, if possible, without force. All right, let's switch sides. Left arm reaches through. First, palm face down. Try to touch the whole palm of your hand to the floor. Feet gently active, lower belly relaxes. And rotate, pinky finger down, thumb up in the air. And rotate, palm of the hand up. Try to touch all your fingernails to the floor. And then maybe keep rotating, thumb down, pinky finger up. All right, slide that arm through, flip both of your palms up. If your toes are not tucked under, tuck your toes under as much as you can. And then belly relaxed, tailbone in the air, and just rock your hips forward and back a little bit, but only go so far back that your tailbone stays nice and high. It doesn't start to round over. Breathing here. Steady toes, steady ankles. All right, stand up on your knees and step your right foot forward into a low lunge. Pubic bone presses forward, so we're really getting this tilt, so our pelvis is in neutral vertical. And then we'll press down, grounding our feet, and circle our arms out and down, and reach out and up, and down, reach out and up, and down, and reach out and up. And then with your arms in the air, turn your palms to face forward and flip your wrists down and flip your wrists back. Spread your thumbs out a little bit towards each other when you flip back. Flip down and flip back, and flip, and flip, flip, and flip. Now interlace your right pinky finger on the bottom, flip your hands inside out, press up, and then nice and slowly draw a big circle with your thumbs in one direction and a big circle with your thumbs in the other direction. Check the tilt of the pelvis, release your hands, and switch legs. Squaring your hips the direction you're facing, pubic bone tucks under a little bit, and circle our arms up and down here, reaching out through your upper back and chest muscles. All right, next time your arms go into the air, palms face forward, and flip, flex, and extend your wrists. Spread your thumbs out as you extend. Flex and extend. Flex and extend, and flex and extend. Interlace left pinky finger on the bottom. Flip your hands away from you. Spread your thumbs out and draw one big circle in one direction with your thumbs and a big circle in the other directions as you press through your hands. Release them, tuck your back toes under, front ankle under your knee. Feel like you're kind of hugging everything into your midline as you press down to stand up. All right, let's grab whatever you're using for a calf stretch. But before we get to our calf stretch, outer edges of feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance. Push down through your right hip. This is the right side, and bend your left heel in. And then press down through your left hip and bend your right heel in. And then we'll go side to side, but what you want to look for is as you come onto one leg, does your hip like to go out to the side? And try to press down and feel your hip hugging in. Okay, so now let's just work on that action of your hip. Pressing down through your right hip, bend your left heel in, the hip travels out a little and it presses down and hugs in. And you can see how when it travels out, my joints are not stacked. And then as I press down and hug in, it's stacking everything. If this is an easy movement for your hip, try to go nice and slow to build strength. Slowly out to the side, slowly pressing down and hugging in. And let's do one more. Nice and slow out, and nice and slow. Whoo, pressing down and hugging in. My hips started to get tired there by that last one. All right, let's go to the other side. Press down through the hip, bend the right heel in, and hip slowly goes out, and slowly down and in, and slowly out, and slowly down and in. Weight back in the heel. Let's do two more like that. definitely have new muscles waking up in this area even after all this time, because this is more challenging for my body to do this. And I think it's because of all those stairs I was doing. I was just away on a cruise. So, and I took the stairs the whole time, didn't take the elevators. Okay, that was fantastic. Let's grab whatever you're using for a calf stretch, a rolled up towel. This is a half dome. You can use a thin block, and grab your strap and put the ball of the foot up, the heel down. And remember, sometimes vary, sometimes a little bit less up, sometimes a little bit more up. You can put your outside foot into different positions with our hands nice and wide, wider than our hips, and the strap tight between our hands. We'll slowly lift up, pulling the strap tight, and tap down. Now walk your hands in a little bit so they're just right next to the hips. Strap taut between your hands. Keep pulling the ends of the straps away from each other as you go up and back down. And then walk your hands in towards, so they're on your thighs, and pull the strap taut. Slowly go up. Try to lift up without lifting your ribs up, so it's okay if your hands don't go as high. And hands come down, and then walk your hands in even closer, pulling the strap tight, and slowly go up. And the closer your hands are and the more you keep your ribs down, the more it's going to impact what shoulder muscles you use. So work within your range of motion, and then slowly go down. Okay, let's bring our hands back to shoulder distance apart and go up into the air, front ribs dropping down, and just take your arms a little bit side to side here. All right, let's switch feet. Ball of the foot up, sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower. Sometimes you can step that outside foot forward or back. Let's put the strap behind our back with our palms facing forward, wider than our hips. Pull the strap nice and tight between your hands, and lift and lower. Walk your hands in so they're closer to right beside your hips. Palms face forward, front ribs relax down, and lift. Notice if your head goes forward, ramp it back a little bit, and lower. And if any of these become just too tight, just stay at the wider width. Walk your hands right inside the sides of your buttocks, and lift, pulling the strap taut, and lower. And then walk your hands in a little bit closer together, and lift, pulling the strap taut, and lower. Bring your hands back to hip distance apart, shoulder distance, a little wider than your hips, and lift. And how about moving your arms a little side to side here? Strap taut between your two hands. All right, and then release, and you can put that strap down, and you can move that out of the way. And if you'd like to, you can have a block at the top of the mat for you to use at any height as you step back. But with our feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, let's sit back into a chair squat and press up. And we're watching for trying to get the back of our legs to work more, so sliding everything back, and watching if our thighs tend to collapse out or more commonly in, and keeping them hip distance apart. Starting with the base of feet straight and ankles hip distance apart. And then let's turn this into a straight leg, half forward fold. Rotate from the pelvis. Try to really straight legs. Think of your belly relaxing so your tailbone can tilt up, and slowly come up. Pelvis rotating over your thigh bones, and pressing down from your buttocks to your heels to come up. Pelvis rotating over your thigh bones and coming up. And so I just noticed that my heels like to scoot in a little bit, so I open. Pelvis rotating over your thigh bones, and then you can sit back into that chair pose. Keep your right foot forward, step your left leg way back, and then spin around to your left and parallel your feet. Back your weight up into your heels, push down through the backs of the legs to come up. Turn your toes out to the sides, and we'll squat down and press up. and we'll squat down any amount. If you can drop down very easily, like you're kind of like boom, for you, go much slower. Slowly going down, especially as you get lower, and slowly pressing up. And we'll do one more like that. Squatting down and pressing up. Now turn your feet back to straight. Do a squat, backing up your hips there. Press up, and then walk your feet in just a little bit and squat back and press up and walk your feet in again, pressing the hips back and up and back to hip distance apart, and sit back and press up. So you can go to the same thing we were just doing, where you're standing on one leg, knee bends, and you're working on that pelvic lift, or you can put your foot up on a block or a thick book. Just make sure your heel's on, your toes can hang off. Check the edge of your foot is straight. You could see it with the straight edge of the block. And then this way, you can let that other leg just hang long, and you're letting your hip drop out and pressing down and hugging in and pushing down so much through the standing leg side that the other foot lifts above the bottom foot. But you're trying to do so without any work in this hip. It's not this hip going up and down, it's this hip doing the work, the standing leg hip. Good, hips back over the heel. If it helps, you can put a chair in front of you or do this next to a wall to keep your weight back in the heel of your foot. Doesn't take a lot of these to feel it. All right, let's switch sides. And one thing, and I don't have two blocks with me today, and of course, I have a cork block. If you have a foam block, which I do it with all the time, it is a little bit more challenging because it's a little less stable. But one thing I recently became aware of is that if you have wider hips, you could do this with your foot even higher up, like a couple blocks stacked, and it'll give you more space to travel before your foot hits the floor or hovers right over the floor. And pressing down and hugging in. And the easier this movement is for your body, the slower you want to go to build strength. Take your time. All right, and then you can take your foot off of there and step off of that block. And from here, we're just gonna squat back and let our hands come down and crawl down onto your knees. And from your knees, spread your thumbs out to the sides, wrap your elbow pits forward, find the top of the rhomboid push-up so your tailbone's still in the air, but you're lifting up through your breastbone, through your armpits, and pressing down through your arms. Hug your left hip in as you extend your right leg long. So that left hip might want to pop out to the side, hug it in, reach long through that leg, lift up into your rhomboid push-up and wrapping your right elbow pit forward, maybe reach your left arm long. Breathing here. And lower the hand, lower the knee. Elbow pits wrap forward, top of the rhomboid push-up, belly relaxes, tailbone up. Extend your left leg back. Notice if your right hip pops out, draw that hip in, lift up through your core, wrap that left elbow pit forward and maybe reach your right arm. And reach nice and long and breathing. And lower the hand and lower the knee and stand up in your low lunge and step your right foot forward. Reach your arms in front of you, palms up. This is going to be our arm motion, reaching out to the side, bringing our pinky fingers back together. Steady your feet, turn and look over your right shoulder, hold the neck, open your arms up and bring together. Turn and look over your left shoulder, reach your arms open and bring together. Bring your head back to center, right ear tips over to right shoulder, and arms open. And bring your pinky fingers together, left ear tips over to left shoulder, steady feet, arms open. And bring your pinky fingers back together, bring your head up, turn your hands down, flex your wrist, and stretch out to the side. and bring them back together, and extend your wrist and open out to the side and bring them back together. And then from there, just relax your arms, tuck your toes under, front ankle under your heel. Now push up and pause, press up and pause. Hold in this up position where your foot is, you're really on your toes here, and just bend down a little and really tuck your pubic bone forward and try to center the ball of your back foot, square your hips the direction you're facing, breathing here. And push off your back foot to step up. All right, other side of the mat. Feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance. So we started out with some chair squats. By the way, you can put your block in front of you if you'd like it to step back. If you'd like to, continue with those, especially if your knees keep going forward, if your thighs collapse in, keep going with 2 legs. Knowing your own boundaries and being humble in this practice is the thing that will take you the farthest when it comes to the health of your body. So just keep that in mind. But also you could play with lifting one foot up and sitting back and just noticing what happens. Does the knee want to travel forward? Does the standing leg hip want to pop out to the side? And press up and foot down. And then same thing, sit back into your chair squat, lift a foot up and press up and lower your foot down. And actually, let's do that one again. So right side presses down, left foot comes up, sit back, sliding back, press up, and then push down through the opposite side, foot lifts up, sit the hips back, and press up. Okay, let's do the same thing with a forward fold. So this time we're gonna take any knee bend out of our knee. So push down through your left hip, your right foot just floats up. You're doing the pelvic lift, and rotate your pelvis into a half forward fold. Try to get that leg to just hang down straight under your hip, and slowly come up and put the foot down. Press down, check feet, ankles, push down through that hip, opposite foot hanging, and rotate the pelvis into a half forward fold or less. Notice, are your hips twisting like mine are? Try to square them and slowly come up. Let's do one more each side. Pressing down through the opposite side that you're on. Try to keep your hips square. One foot floats up, half forward fold. And if you're using the alignment, don't fold so far forward. And slowly come up and switch. Pressing down, hug the hip in, other foot floats up, squaring your hips as you rotate into a half forward fold. Watch the rib thrust and pressing up to come up, sit back into a chair pose, step your right leg way back and spin around to the right, parallel your feet. Weight backs up into the heels, push through the backs of the legs to come out, turn your toes out, and remember, the easier you can drop down, the slower you want to go, not only on the way down, but on the way up. One more like this. All right, feet spin in, sit back, press up, step them in a step to 3, sit back, press up, walk into 2, not quite hip distance apart, sit back, watch the thighs liking to collapse in or out. And 1, hip distance apart, press up. Okay, we're gonna play with doing one-legged chair pose and moving our other leg around. So sit back into your chair squat, back your hips up. As you put your weight into your right leg, notice if your hip wants to do one of these, try to draw it in. As you lift your left foot up, step it across behind you, and then bring it out to the side. Whoops. And then bring that foot back in. Feet closer to straight, ankles hip distance, sitting back into a chair pose as you load the left hip. Notice if it wants to pop out to the side, my hips want to. Hug it in as you lift your foot up and step it across behind and step it out to the side. This leg staying stable the whole time and step in. How about we do one more each side? So sit back, hug the right hip in, left foot lifts up, step it across, step it out to the side, and bring it in. Sit back, chair pose, hug the left hip in, and right foot comes up, and step it across behind, and step it out to the side, and step it in, hip distance, and press up. And then from here, we're going to sit back into a chair pose and just start to lower your hips. Notice at what point the knees want to go forward a lot, what point the thighs want to collapse in, what point your shoulders end up lower than your hips. Can you drop your hips down more and come up? So you can just stick with that, or you can play with putting the block behind you and using as a feedback tool. And if the block is way too low, the best thing to start with is a chair. We do this in my chair classes all the time, and just checking your alignment and going slowly to the chair. And then same thing, nice and slow, come up from the chair. So the chair is the best place to start, but if you want to go for the block, do that. And we'll sit our hips back. And if you can easily sit down, try not to let the block support you at any time. Just tap it, back your hips up, and slowly come back up. All right, wherever you choose to be. The chair, the block, something in between. If you have two blocks, you can stack one block on top of the other. Keep sliding back, tip the buttocks down, push down to press up. All right, let's do that a couple more times. If you touch down, try to feel both sides touch down equally. All right, and then from here, we'll squat down any amount. Bring your hands down, crawl your knees down. And then from your knees, we'll extend the right leg straight out to the right. And bring your left hand down to a block or to the floor in line with your left knee. Thumb spreads out, elbow pit wraps towards your fingers. And from there, reach your top arm into the air, press that left foot into the floor, right foot. And if you'd like to, lift that leg into the air. Breathing here. And lower your foot and pull your torso up and slide your knee in and extend your left leg straight out to the left. And then bring your hand down to a block or to the floor in line with your knee. Thumb spreads out, elbow pit wraps towards your fingers, reaching your arm up into the air, turning your belly button open. You can stay right here and activate your foot or lift up and breathing here. Notice, does your hip like to go back? Can you press your hip forward gently? Buttocks in, breathing. And lower your foot and bring your arm up and then slide that knee in and step your left foot forward. Pubic bone tucks under, circle, arms in front of you, palms up. The arm motion will be this, reach out, bring it in, turn and look over your left shoulder, open and in, turn and look over your opposite shoulder, open and in. Bring your head back to center, tip your left ear gently to your left shoulder, chin back and in as you open and bring your pinky fingers together, opposite ear to opposite shoulder, steady feet, open and bring it in. Bring your head up, turn your palms down, flip your wrists down, open and bring it in and flip your wrist up and open and bring it in, and then relax your arms down, tuck your toes under. When you get up, you're gonna pause, hug everything and pause, so your foot's nice and far back with your heel nice and high, toes tucked under, bending down just a little bit, tucking the pubic bone under, and breathing. Front knee right over the front ankle, smooth inhales and exhales. And then from there, push off your back foot. You can tuck your toes under, sit back towards your heels any amount. You can keep your hands on the floor, or you can reach back, sit back onto your heels. Either one, every angle here, 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 here offers a different stretch for different areas. So one is not better for the body. They all have their own benefit. Okay, you can stay here. You're going to need your hand, or you could actually do what we're going to do from leaning forward, or you're going to come up and just keeping your toes tucked under, stand on your knees. So either one, drop your right ear over to your right shoulder and slowly roll down and around to your left shoulder, so the ear's all the way over there. Arms by your sides, and bring your head up. All right, let's go to the right one more time. Right ear, circle down and around nice and slowly. Feel all those different muscles. Left ear to left shoulder, and bring your head up. And now we'll do left ear. Left ear over, down and around, nice and slow, feeling, breathing, right ear to right shoulder, and bring your head up. And once again, left ear to left shoulder, and roll down and around, and bring your head up. Okay, so you can stay on your knees, toes tucked under, you can stay here, or flip the top of the feet back. If this is not happening for you and not comfortable, you could sit on a block underneath your hips to give yourself more height. If it's still not working for today, you can just sit with your legs in front of you any way that works for you. But from this position, let's drop our chin all the way down to our chest. Breathing, let your arms hang by your sides. Pelvis upright wherever you may be, ribs relaxed down and back. And then from there, think of keeping your ribs down and back as you slide your head back. You can pull down gently on the skin of your collarbone as you lift your chin up into the air and push your bottom lip or your bottom jaw forward. And breathing here through your nose. You can move around a little bit if that feels good. You can try kind of pulling down gently on different areas of skin. And relax and come into a child's pose of your choice. Hands as a pillow or arms stretch long, or whatever you would like in this moment. Being with your breath. And come on up. And come on to your back. And you are ready for your final pose, Savasana. So get comfortable. If you have a blanket that helps you feel comfortable, or whatever it is that helps you relax. And we're just being with whatever comes up in our body, whether pleasant or unpleasant. Let's be here for 2 more minutes together, observing our body, observing our breath. I try to do a lot of good things for my body. I'm definitely not always successful, and I also do a lot of things that perhaps are not healthy. But I can tell you that the thing that has impacted my life the most positive, in the most positive way, is meditation, is being with my breath and observing my body, which is pretty amazing because I feel like the movement and the nutrition are incredible, but meditation is really the thing that makes a big difference from the inside out. So be kind to yourself and just keep bringing that wandering mind back to your body and to your breath. I really love this quote. I've experienced this over and over again in my life, and it's really a patient process that requires a lot of self-love and non-judgment. This is the quote: "Transitioning from knowing better to consistently doing better is a journey in itself." Transitioning from knowing better to consistently doing better is a journey in itself. When you know that you should be doing something better for ourselves, for yourself, we often push it aside when we start to judge ourselves for not doing it. It's almost easier to, pretend that thing that we know doesn't exist. But if you can not judge yourself for not doing it and still keep reminding yourself and planting seeds, it will almost always happen in its own time. The problem is that judgment often gets in the way. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. For me personally, I've had this New Year's resolution for such a long time. I'm not even sure. It literally could have been over a decade now where I've been saying I want to drink more water. And I go through little phases here and there, and I never stuck with it. And every year again, I want to drink more water. And meditation taught me not to judge myself for not doing this thing that I know is so good for me and helps me feel better. And after all these years, just this last year, I got this big 32-ounce glass water bottle. And for some reason, with this water bottle, and it has measurements on it, I have been able to stick to drinking more water consistently than ever before over all those years. And I just kept planting the seed for myself patiently, kindly, persistently, not beating myself up when I wasn't doing it. Keep doing that for yourself. Transitioning from knowing better to consistently doing better is a journey in itself. If you'd like to wiggle or rock or move around, feel free to do that with your body. And then roll over to one side. Be present with your breathing. And then press yourself up to a seated position, bringing your hands to heart center in gratitude for this day, in gratitude for knowing better even before we do better. Namaste.